This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Actually, Ray is off this week for some well-deserved R&R. Instead, it's just me flying solo with you for the next 30 minutes. So without further delay, let's take a look at the show lineup. Coming up, so many key issues at the annual GFB Commodity Conference, but the one at the top of everyone's list, input cost. Why one economist predicts next year will be better and what he's telling producers to do until then. Another issue we keep hearing about, the supply chain. Today, we're diving into how our nation's railway system plays a bigger role year in and year out in getting food from the farm to your table. Plus,
well, everybody, Ranger Neck coming up a little bit later. You know, it's hard to believe that itsy bitsy spider will turn into one of those 3-inch long Joro Spiders. And this month, we're talking to Joros, what we know and don't know, and I'm spending some time with a Clemson University scientist who will reveal some extra leg up kinds of things on him. That and a whole lot more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
With everything from A to Z, apples to zucchini, Georgia is considered one of the most diverse agricultural states in the country. And that was on full display at the annual Georgia Farm Bureau Commodity Conference, where all the committees representing different sectors of the industry gathered to discuss important issues while also honoring one of their own. Damon Jones has the story.
Some of the biggest legislation passed in Atlanta, like the recent Freedom to Farm Act, got its start right here at the annual GFB Commodity Conference, where members of the 20 different committees gathered to discuss their concerns over agricultural issues within the state.
You know, Farm Bureau is a grassroots organization, and our policy that we take to Atlanta and Washington, it comes from our grassroots members. And this is the very beginning of it, and they're the ones that know what they need and want, and they also know what they don't want. So it all goes back to the farm, to the actual people that produce the different commodities that we grow in the state of Georgia.
While labor and water issues were on the agenda, the #1 concern for farmers over the past year has been the skyrocketing input costs. However, it's a problem economists are hoping is just for the short term.
I would just tell producers that times are tough right now, but commodity prices are high enough that they can survive through these high input prices and come out the other side, that farms have strong enough balance sheets, they got enough assets, net worth to get through this. So it wasn't fun last year, it's not fun this year, it should be better next year. So just get through this, survive, watch your pricing carefully, and hang on till it improves.
And to do so, events like this are extremely important as it allows some of the biggest producers from all over the state to collaborate with one another about problems the entire industry faces.
The whole purpose of this is to get all the commodities together, and you know, what affects water affects all of these commodities. So we hope, say, the Cotton Committee can be talking to the Water Committee and come up with some policies that will help everybody.
One of the highlights of this event is handing out the GFB Commodity Award given to an individual who's dedicated their life to supporting and promoting agriculture in Georgia. And this year, that honor would go to Dr. Larry Guthrie, whose decades of work in the dairy industry included everything from extension to the creation of the Georgia Dairy Youth Foundation.
Really, it's just so much because I was so pleased to have an opportunity to share with people that in agriculture just how important the dairy industry is and how we've progressed to being a part of that, being able to represent them is just flattering.
And that's just one of many commodities represented at this conference, which really exemplifies the diversity of agriculture in Georgia.
These commodity committees, I hope, are a representative sample of what we all produce in the state. Georgia is going to be, if it's not already, the breadbasket of America. The ability for us to be able to feed, clothe, and shelter people that live in this country and do it at a profit is, to be able to stay in business is very, very important.
Reporting from DeKalb County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Producing food and fiber is one thing, getting it to where it needs to be in a timely and efficient manner is another, which is why in recent years interest in the nation's railways has grown as it proves to be beneficial to those wanting to move agricultural goods both domestically and internationally. John Holcomb reports on how our nation's railroads keep ag products chugging along.
Over the years, U.S. agricultural products have become well known around the world as farmers produce high-quality food and fiber people want and need. In fact, in 2021, the U.S. exported a record $177 billion worth of ag products. However, that wouldn't be possible without our ports, like the Port of Savannah, one of the nation's busiest ports that keep ag products moving into international markets.
Agriculture exports mean a lot to us here, especially being in the Southeast. We were just talking earlier this morning that Savannah has been now ranked as the #1 export container port in the United States. Agricultural really drives that. Cotton exports, paper, clay, logs, wood chips, those types of commodities do well here in Savannah.
Of course, for commodities to do well, they need to get to the port in a timely and efficient manner, which thanks to our nation's railways is no problem at all. In fact, according to Porter, reliance on rail is something the Port Authority takes seriously and expects to grow as they have a massive, recently updated terminal and several inland ports across the state, all of which are meant to help those in Georgia and the region get their products into overseas markets.
The importance of rail continues to grow, and especially here in Savannah, our rail facility that you see behind me is the only on-dock rail facility on the Gulf East Coast with two Class 1 railroads, the CSX and the Norfolk Southern. And so that's important because it connects our terminal directly to inland markets, as you just mentioned. We talk a little bit about a lot about cotton exports, and it connects us to Memphis. It gives us a 2.5 to 3 day connection into the Memphis market via rail. So it's good in a lot of ways as far as the environment, but also taking trucks off the road, but just connections to inland markets.
One company that knows a thing or two about getting their products into international markets is Staple Cotton, a cotton marketing cooperative that ships over half their cotton internationally from almost a dozen cotton-producing states.
We handle cotton exclusively, and we market cotton for our member owners in the 11 states known as the Memphis Eastern Territory in the cotton business, or the Mid-South and the Southeast. International trade is critical to our company. We ship usually over 50% of our volume internationally. We ship to generally over 20 countries around the world.
As their international demand has grown over the years, so has their need for efficient transportation of their cotton to various ports, and have learned that rail is by far the best option, as it can go straight from Memphis, a huge railroad hub, to the Port of Savannah.
A lot of our cotton is grown around Memphis and within a few 100-mile radius of Memphis, and Memphis is a large distribution center to the middle of the country, just like Savannah is also, but it's not at a port. So there are a number of empty containers, and we're as close to cotton production areas, but then we load it into containers and load it at warehouses in the Memphis area, and then rail it. The largest volume comes to the East Coast, primarily Savannah, but we also move to the Gulf and to the West Coast.
According to the Association of American Railroads, 3.3 million carloads of ag products are shipped in a typical year on American railways. Reporting in Savannah for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Well, everybody, Ranger Nick coming up. I'll explain why that little yellow spider you're seeing out there in the woods and a mud dauber nest go together, and why that spider should be worried about that mud dauber nest after the break.
Essentially, we want a more resilient food system in the country. To do that, you absolutely need more resilience, and the resilience comes from a local and regional food system. To do that, though, you need the pollinators to make sure that you've got the fruits and vegetables and so forth to be able to sell at farmers markets. It's a great community building feeling when you come out here at USDA on a Friday. You really get a sense of community. And that's what we're also trying to do with the People's Garden, is basically give people an opportunity to learn as they walk by on the mall, a place of respite, but also a place to learn a little bit about maybe some plants and some trees that you may not be aware of. So it's an educational opportunity. It's really exciting about this, and of course there's always good food. Always good food.
Well, what you're looking at there is the culprit of so much media attention about a year ago. That's the Joro spider. And we're talking this month with a scientist that studies things about that spider and getting a leg up or 2 or 8 or so on those. That's Dr. Dave Coyle.
Hey, Nick.
Doc, it's so good to be with you again. Dr. Coyle is with Clemson University, Department of Forestry and Environmental Conservation, and has joined us on Ranger Nick over the years. We appreciate you coming back and wanting to hang out with me a little more.
Hey, man, appreciate the invite. I always like talking about this stuff.
Well, thanks so much. And this is a little critter that I want to ask you some questions about. We're looking at a juvenile right now in front of us. This is the guy that in August, September, they're going to be that 3-inch long spider. Talk to me about right now, what's this guy doing in terms of survival? What's he feeding on? How did this guy get to this point where we are right now in Oconee County, Georgia?
Yeah, Joro spiders have actually been in northern Georgia since 2014. That was the first report, is 2014. Okay. Their populations have grown and grown, but I tell you, really it was last year that the media picked up and there was all sorts of articles about giant ballooning spiders, right, and Joro spiders everywhere. I first saw them here in my yard in Oconee County in 2020. Okay. So it took a while for their populations to get big enough, but right now, these little spiders are just doing standard spider stuff. They're making webs. There's a bunch of them on this tree right now. They're catching anything that goes in there. They're wrapping it up. They're sucking the juices out of it, and they're just surviving. They're getting bigger and bigger.
Now, these are the guys that have those webs that literally are like a guitar string. I talk about, you can almost pluck that thing. Very, very powerful. So with a spider like this, talk to us about what we should be worried about, if anything, with something like this in our yard, because that was the attention it was getting last year.
Yeah, it was getting a lot of attention. You know, what are these spiders going to do? And I tell you, these spiders aren't really going to do anything to people or pets. They don't have mandibles or jaws big enough to bite through skin. I've held them. You can hold them. They're super docile. They just want to do their spider thing. They can be a nuisance. Yeah. For certain. You know, you'll see them, they will make webs all over trees, plants, your house, in front of doors. So, you know, I just tell people, treat them like you would treat any other nuisance thing, right? If you've got a spider putting a web where it doesn't, you don't want it, move it, right? Just get rid of it. Take a broom and get that thing out of there. You need to move the actual spider. If you just knock down the web, it's going to build a web in that same space again. I tried last year. I knocked down a web in one spot 3 times in a row, and it built the same thing back the next morning.
They're workaholics, aren't they?
So if you want to move these things, you got to get the spider and move it away and just relocate it somewhere.
Interesting. Now, I want to talk about from the front porch standpoint of something like this. There's a certain stinging insect that might cause some issues for the Joro spider, and I want to go to the front porch with you next, Dave, so let's go there now. All right, so we've relocated to Dave's front porch, and a little bit ago we just chiseled down one of those mud dauber nests up in the corner that maybe you have at your own home there. And Dave, if I'm a Joro spider, why should I be concerned about one of those mud daubers, those little wasps, and the potential to get into their nest?
Yeah, if you're a Joro spider, you should be concerned. Mud daubers hunt spiders. So they'll make these tubes of mud, and then they'll go paralyze spiders. We took a bunch out. They catch these little spiders, they paralyze them, they shove them up in that tube, and then they lay an egg on them. And so she'll cap off the end and basically make a series of little rooms full of paralyzed spiders that the egg will hatch, the larva will feed on it, and then it will emerge as a spider. So these mud daubers you see, the wasps with those really skinny waists, they're predators on spiders.
And think about that, grabbing a hold of a spider, and this time of the year, as these Joros become more prevalent, this might be an opportunity for that mud dauber to grab one of those spiders. And if you take a look at some of these guys, these are likely not the Joros, Dave. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, they don't look like Joros to me. They look like they might be another type of orb weaver, but I don't think they're Joros. The coloring's just a little bit wrong, and they look a little too big right now to have been Joros. But this is about the size they like, so in another few weeks, these things will probably, or the Joros will be large enough to be of good size.
It's incredible they would grab those. So next time you're watching one of those mud daubers and worried about them stinging, you realize that they're taking care of those Joros and some of the other spiders and feeding on them. Well, Dave, I want to wrap it up today with the idea of what can the folks at home do as they maybe encounter a Joro spider? How can they contribute some data to some of the studies you're doing? So let's go there next. Well, working with spiders is a family affair, isn't it? So Parker and Connor are Dave's boys, and they are joining me now, and they're both holding a juvenile Joro spider. And one of the things we're doing with this message is showing that these spiders are harmless. They're not here to hurt us, guys. Are they doing anything to you besides chilling out, huh? Pretty cool. And I love your passion for wanting to help Dad with this and be part of this. I love to see kids getting involved with this. For the folks at home that might want to get involved and contribute some data to studies that you might be doing on these, is there something that we can do to contribute information, maybe through the web, to help you?
Yeah, Nick, good one there. There's a website called iNaturalist, and iNaturalist.org, and the best thing we can ask people to do is report sightings of these. One of the biggest issues we have is we don't know exactly where they are. We depend on people to tell us if we've got one in your yard or where it goes. It helps us know where they are now and where they're going. So if people would go to iNaturalist, it's completely free. You can just take a picture, it uploads in seconds. That would be extremely helpful, and that'll help us figure out a lot about what these things are going to be doing to our environment.
It's incredible, the distribution, the range, and that's something that kids and their teachers can even engage with in the classroom too. So, Doc, thanks so much for today. I so appreciate it. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Y'all know what to do while you're on the web, looking around. Check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page and see what we got going on there. And until next time, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you, as I always do, that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here again, this time next month. See ya.
Well, you know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Up next, how these Bartow County youngsters discovered a gift for growing watermelons by accident. Stay tuned.
Holstein Association USA believes in continued improvement generation after generation. As high-performing as the Holstein cow is today, there are ways to make the world's perfect cow even more profitable. In fact, Holstein leaders are willing to bank on people who want to make it happen. Dr. Chad Deckow is one of them. His research is on making cattle more feed efficient.
So there's been, in the last 2 years, a lot of focus on selecting for feed efficiency. And that makes sense because feed is 50 to 60% of a dairy producer's cost. So if we can reduce that cost and become economically more efficient, that's great, right?
It all begins with the first step.
10 years from now, how we select for feed efficiency will look a little bit different than it does now. But we had to get the process started.
Researchers see an issue, determine that it can be improved, then tackle it head on, like Dr. Anna Denical, who's studying environmental adaptability and heat stress.
Heat stress is a problem, right? It affects the productivity of the dairy. It has a huge economic impact. So anything that we can try to do to decrease those effects. And I was just talking to some colleagues just now. This is not a magic bullet because there isn't one, right? We need to try to build tools that together will create a solution, and I think this really is a step on the right direction.
The research process on paper looks pretty straightforward. In practice, it often gets complex, like the research Dr. J.P. Martins is doing into milk production and fertility.
Cows that had higher milk production, they had more double ovulations, even though they were treated with double zinc, which is a fertility treatment that increases progesterone. As it's shown, these programs are really highly effective on increasing progesterone during the growth of the follicle for time day eye and increasing fertility of lactating dairy cows.
Those are only 3 examples of many research projects that are currently improving the Holstein breed. Another round of research applications are sought by August 15th from principal investigators at U.S. universities and nonprofits.
Of course, we get funds so we can do the research, right? I think it's really amazing that the Holstein Association USA has this grant program and really helps.
Holstein Association USA's grant program is all in the name of improvement for a cause.
I'm able to do applied research that I think could be applied directly in the field to help improve breeders' herds directly.
For Holstein Association USA, I'm Bob Cervera.
Well, finally this week, true or false? Watermelons can only grow in large fields and never next to a driveway or residential neighborhood. That would be false. And as Ray DeLocio found out, these 2 Cartersville youngsters are proof it can be done.
You twist up.
Meet Olivia Lawrence and Knox Matthews, longtime friends and one might say business partners. To quote Forrest Gump, they are like 2 peas in a pod. Peas, however, not their thing. Watermelon? Absolutely. The method they used to grow them, well, that came about by accident.
It was sitting in the sink, split halfway open. And so me and Olivia thought it'd be funny to take one of the seeds and plant it without telling anyone.
That secret location? Right along Knox's driveway. And before the kids knew it, they had themselves a watermelon.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to actually start growing, so I was pretty surprised about it. And yeah, I was excited.
That was then, and this is now. Knox and Olivia, the Watermelon Kids. Since planting that first seed, they've researched how to grow the perfect watermelon, including the importance of having pollinators nearby. They've also learned about the different varieties of watermelon. And best of all, everyone they grow, they try and share with family, friends, and people of their community.
My husband and Olivia's parents, I can speak for all of us, that we're very proud of them for their dedication, for their eagerness to learn about agriculture, and their philanthropy to give to others. It was an accident, and it was a great accident that has continued 1 year after the other, and we're very proud of them.
So, start out with just 1, but now we're to where we have 42 plants out there. And we just grew and liked it, and so as it got, every year we've just got bigger and bigger and got more into it.
What's the biggest thing that you've taken away from this and that you've learned just in the couple years that you've been doing this?
I've learned that it's very important for the bees to be here and to make sure you water them a lot. And make sure you plant them in a good spot where a bunch of sun can get to them.
I tell people, I think they think we have a watermelon patch somewhere in the field or in the backyard, and I'm like, no, it's on the side of the driveway. You can drive by the house and you can see it. You can pull in the driveway. It doesn't matter if we're there or not. You can check out the watermelon. So it's been easy for them, but they have had to be dedicated to it. They always plant on Mother's Day weekend. And then they've got to water and keep an eye on them and fertilize. So it's taught them, dedication to something, not just throw the seed down and go on and it'll show up. So they realize there's work involved.
Great kids, truly amazing. Well, you hear the music, that is our cue. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe and have a great week.